Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Marquee Show podcast here on the DJNTV Network. Tonight, I am super excited to have my good friend and industry colleague, Mr. Jamie Bodie here.
Hey, everybody.
Is it South Carolina, Jamie, or North Carolina?
It is definitely South Carolina.
Definitely.
I'm almost in Georgia, as a matter of fact.
Okay, almost in Georgia. So you guys just had like 50-degree weather and the whole airport freaked out and shut down and everybody lost their minds. Isn't that correct?
Not yet, but it got pretty cold. We had some frost.
Yeah.
We don't like to have frost around here.
But wasn't there something with the airlines? People were like jumping out of the planes, or was that something else? Did I miss? There was some chaos in the airports just a couple of days ago, Saturday, I think.
I don't think it was
Atlanta.
Here.
No, it was Atlanta. So I don't know. Maybe if somebody's watching, they can post it. So if you're watching us randomly on something, we're going to ask you to go to the Marquee Show Facebook page. Ideally, the page, because memory serves, John, we're not in the group. Is that correct? Or are you already gone?
I don't believe so. I'm trying to check.
Okay, so we're going to the Facebook page, and that's where you can win prizes by showing your face, saying hello, and going there. So you want to go to the Facebook page, and we are on that page. All right. So, Jamie, I know you've spoken at Marquee, you've spoken at Midwest DJs Live, you've spoken at Think Tank, all kinds of different groups and such. So what I want you to do, though, is for people who don't know you, I want you to go ahead and reintroduce yourself and talk about the topic that we are talking about tonight, which is about money management and how important it is, not only in life, but also in business.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, my name is Jamie Bodie. I'm in South Carolina, and I am a pretty huge proponent of Dave Ramsey type of financial advisement and investment. So a quick backstory about my wife and myself. It was about 16 years ago when I was sitting somewhere very similar to right where I'm at now here at my bar. And we realized that we were completely broke, and I didn't want to be that way. Made a big change in what I was doing. And one of the jokes I like to make is back then we were broke and stupid, and now we're just stupid. So we ain't broke no more.
Well, that's good. So if you don't mind getting into detail, like, I don't want to say like how broke were you, but you've shared in the past about your plane accident and various things, and I don't know if you'd be willing to share some more of that story as well.
Well, sure. July 24th of 1998, I was in a gyrocopter crash, which is a small airplane. I spent a couple months in the hospital, and that certainly didn't help us out financially, but I got to tell you, it wasn't really the thing that pushed us over the edge. What pushed us over the edge was our stupidity and our continuing down a road of just not knowing what we were doing and keeping our head in the sand and trying to keep up with the Joneses. And we were our stuff together 16 years ago. We were about $100,000 in debt, not counting our house.
Wow.
And we paid that off in 25 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. So your story really isn't the exception to the rule. Quite frankly, if you look at the average American's credit card debt today, and I'll even say the small business owners debt, there's that, the old Bull Durham theory that if you build it, they will come, which is why I think a lot of DJs, when they go to conferences and they see various things, they run out and they buy it and they run to it, and it's the shiny new penny and such. And I get it, but it doesn't always mean that it's going to be the best business decision for them to invest in. So um, certainly, I would say from what I've gathered from you, you are you're not the exception to the rule, or you weren't the exception to the rule. You were the rule, you
No,
know.
no. If you Google or Chat GPT the statistics on what the average family has in debt and what the average family has in savings, it's actually quite depressing.
Right. No, so you found yourself in this debt, and just like, let's just say, like the average person watching this per se, what were the steps? What are the steps that you would recommend, from starting with your business to personal to what have you, to dig yourself out? And then later on, let's also talk about building the business plan, at least a simple spreadsheet to maintain the lifestyle that a lot of people want, or to also dig themselves out of the debt. So
Well, sure. I mean, the steps that we followed is, say, I was broke and we were desperate. Our marriage was not doing well because of the financial problems, because financial problems lead to fights, and it's just the truth. And so the steps I would recommend are Dave Ramsey steps. I decided I was broke, he wasn't. I was going to do exactly what he said to do. I was going to give it 6 months or a year and find out whether it worked or not. And so, baby, just went down the baby steps. Baby step number one is put $1,000 in an emergency fund in a separate bank account, and that's your emergency fund. And it is only used for emergencies. That way you don't have to go back to that credit card that's charging you 29% interest. Baby step number two, once you get $1,000 in the bank, is you pay off all of your debt except for your house. I mean, and that's what we did. We got after it. We were putting about $4,000 a month toward paying off debt and working every chance that we got to try to make another dollar so that we could pay off debt sooner. After that, we kept that money that we were paying off debt with, that about $4,000 a month, and we built up an emergency fund that was, Dave says 3 to 6 months, but we felt more comfortable because of I was getting ready to go full time in my business at that point. We felt more comfortable with 6 months, so we saved that up. And then baby step number four is to start investing for your retirement once you're out of debt. And baby step number five is save for your kids' college fund. We were able to help all of our kids work their way through college. Two so far, one is still in school, but we were able to get them through college without them having to take out student loans.
that's
Now,
right.
that doesn't mean that mommy and daddy paid for everything, because that's not how things roll at my house. But we were able to help them enough that they could get through and not have to take out a student loan. So now that I've got two of them that are graduated, or one graduated and one that's right on the edge of graduating. And they're going to not have any student debt while their friends are paying back student loans. They're going to make it out okay.
Great.
And then we paid our house off. That was the next thing that we did. And we've just been kind of continually doing that. We own a couple extra properties that we were able to pay cash for. It has served us well, and it works every single time.
All right. So let's start. So the first thing is, it's like getting on the scale, and you just have to get on the scale, find out what you weigh, and you have to find out how much debt you're in. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, this is where you and I talked this afternoon about what I wanted to discuss. And it's the beginning of the year, and there's all kinds of New Year's resolutions, and everyone says this is going to be the year that I do whatever it is. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, um, let's just say that people want to take home a six-figure salary. Okay. Whether that's DJ and full-time job or full-time job or what have you. So I've always been a proponent of putting the end goal on paper and then working backward to
Working
figure
backwards.
out what it's going to take. So if we're talking about, let's just use the number $100,000 just for an easy number. Okay.
Hmm.
If you want to at least, let's just say, gross $100,000 a year, and you've got 52 weeks in the year, and let's just say that it's going to start with just doing weddings. We're not talking about doing karaoke or trivia nights or what have you, but truly being a special event DJ, albeit full time or part time. Okay, it would seem to me, and you chime in accordingly, if you're going to do, if it's 52 weeks in the year and you're the average market throughout the United States, not everybody has perfect San Diego weather like our friend Chad Blackburn has,
Hmm.
but um, but even then, you've got your holiday weekends that aren't going to be busy and different things. So I would say, what are we looking at? 35 out of the
That's
52? Okay.
that's exactly the number I was thinking.
Okay. See, great minds think alike. So if we're
That's
talking
scary.
about grossing that, right? So let's take 100. I'm going to pull out my calculator. You can't see it because I'm being discreet here. So if we want to gross $100,000 and we divide that by 35 Saturdays, that means that you have to be looking at 28.57 per job.
That's right.
Okay. So just about 3 grand. Now, that may seem like an astronomical amount of money to a lot of people, but that's where, to me, it's definitely on the higher end for the national average of being whatever, probably $1,500 to $2,000 for a DJ. But if you have, and it seems like a lot of DJs go out and they buy gear before they have the customers, even. But if you're talking about the average DJ being maybe $1,200, and then you add in a
Mm.
ceremony system, which is pretty standard now at $200 or $300. Now you're at $1,500, and
Hmm.
there's a ton of affordable photo booth options that you could easily then add in $500 to $1,000 depending on how you dress up your photo booth. Now all of a sudden you're at 1,500. Now let's just, for easy math, let's say $500 on the low end. Right now you're at $2,000, and you can still add in uplighting, um, a monogram, which is not overly expensive to get into those. Um, it's very doable to get up to the 22,000, to get to the 2,000 to 2,500 mark. Would you say that
Mm.
it's
Absolutely. It's just adding more things on. And, I think that as DJs, there's not a lot of places where we really have the upper hand. But if you put together a really nice ceremony rig and you
Mhm,
do a really nice job, ceremonies can be $500 or $600.
right? I'm
I mean,
not
they don't have to
disagreeing
be
there.
two or three. You can bump those up, and that's a great place for people to do it. And you talked about buying new gear, Casey.
Yeah,
Look, when I go to buy something, I ask myself, first question I ask is, will this make me money?
right.
Does it make me happy? Does it make me feel good? Does not enter into my equation. Will
Okay.
this make me money? I
Gosh,
don't need gear that doesn't make me money. I need
sure.
gear that does, and that's what we all need to look for. And that kind of stops us from chasing the new shiny controller because they keep coming out with new and better ones all the time. And God bless them for helping us out. But
Yeah,
I think I know the average person doesn't know or care what controller we're using. And, there are DJs out there who could mix better than I can, no matter what controller you gave them.
right. No question
So,
about it. No, and I'll be honest, my controller is I'm still on a Pioneer SZ, which has got to be 8 years old now.
mhm.
And it's kind of like my, I also have got a 2000, and so I don't even know. My Mercedes it's older. I mean, there's no question it's older. And I don't want to have $100,000 car payment, or a $40,000 car payment or whatever. Um, it's funny, we all view things the way we choose to. I beat up my father the other day because my dad's 89 years old, and he was talking about how he wishes he had been more successful in his life. And I turned to him and I said, Dad, you realize you've beat almost every national average. He was in business for over 30 years. Okay. And I said to him, the first 5 years, 85% of all businesses fail. From years 5 to 10, the businesses that survive, 50% of those fail. I said to my dad, you paid off a 30-year mortgage in 10 years. You paid off a 30-year note on your factory. He was in the machine shop industry and he used to have a factory manufacturing parts that went inside of other stuff. I said, you paid that off in 10 years. I said, Dad, you haven't had a car payment since 1956. You carried no debt on a credit card. So are you on 5 acres with an in-ground swimming pool? No. But you have totally beaten the national average. My brother, my sister, and myself were very blessed. We went to private parochial schools. My brother, all of the college that we did attend, my father paid for. My sister's beauty school was paid for. My brother's college paid for. The college that I happened to, I never finished college, but while I was in it, it was paid for. And that was that. So, I think everyone thinks that success means going from trailer park to mansion, but that's not necessarily it. It's whatever you're comfortable with.
Success to me is being comfortable and happy with what you have.
Sure.
Because if you're not happy in the trailer park, you're not going to be happy in the mansion
Right.
because you're going to be with you both places.
No,
So
I agree.
I,
If you
I often
are,
say that one of the greatest gifts that God has given me is the gift of contentment.
okay.
And I am content with what I have. My wife and I both drive 2017 vehicles, but I love my truck. I don't want another truck. I certainly don't
Yeah.
want a truck payment. I actually, and you talked about me speaking at places. I'll be speaking at MEX coming up. And one of the examples that I give is looking at the opportunity cost of what buying a new, I think the example that I use is a $60,000 truck, which is a pretty reasonable truck today.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through all that and I talk about what's that truck really cost you.
Right.
So that's what you have to look at. It's not just how much is the payment.
Right. No, I totally agree. You've got the maintenance, you've got the insurance, and obviously insurance on a new vehicle is far more than your insurance on your older vehicle. And even then, if you're fully insuring an older vehicle, you have to wonder, is it worth the liability on it, or having
Mm-hmm.
full coverage or just having liability. So yeah, but again, I think that all of us, and I can only speak for myself, but most of the people you and I also are friends with, we got into this industry because we loved it. We
Yeah.
loved, somehow in some way, shape, or form, we wandered into it because I don't think there's a kindergarten class in America even today that has got little kids going, I want to be a wedding DJ or special event DJ or club DJ, or anything still. But in some way, this was brought into our lives and we fell in love with it. And then as a young man, in my case, I got paid extremely well, even doing what we would consider our bottom feeder parties, frat parties and junior
Mm-hmm.
highs. But compared to my friends that were either bartending or working whatever, I was getting paid a stupid amount of money to DJ and have a blast doing it. And so that was it. And then all of a sudden it became that career. So that was that. If
It's,
you are
you know,
tuning in on our Facebook page, make sure that you make a comment, like something, say hello so that we know that you are here. And that way, when we give away some of our prizes later, like a pass to the Marquee show and a year-long membership to the American DJ Association, or a digital download from our friends at Promo Only, we know that you're here. So make sure you like it, say hello. Hello, Brian McGann. Hello to Stefan
right.
Langdon. Like I said, make yourself known. We're excited that you're here. So sorry, Jamie, had to, take care of a little bit of business there.
Yeah, well, everybody's got to do that at some point. But when you were talking, it reminded me one time, Casey, I remember distinctly. I mean, I remember where I was when I made a statement. It was the old show in Vegas,
Right?
and I was getting a magazine and it had an advertisement. And I said to my friend, I said, how can anybody afford to pay $400? I think that's what I estimated it would cost to go out there to go to a DJ show. We don't make enough money. The crazy thing is, if I'd have gone sooner, I would have found out sooner because ultimately I did go. And
Sure.
it has afforded me a rather nice living. But man, I think about those years that I wasn't doing things well and that I wasn't making too much money and how I could have cut some of those years off by going to the Marquee show.
Yeah, no, I mean, and not just mine, but there's tons, and now there's a bunch of them. They just wrapped up the Pittsburgh DJ Summit. So if you're
Mhm.
watching and you live up that way, there's that show. There's DJ Times or DJX now in Atlantic City. Down your way, you've got Robbie Britton's show. Arm
Yeah.
DJs,
Farm DJs.
Chicago's got us. Uh, Milwaukee has the Midwest DJs live show. I know the guys from DJ Collective are doing the Recharge in July, I think. And
There's a
then
show in Boston.
yeah, there's a Harvest of Sound up in Boston that just
Mhm.
happened last month. So not a lot on the West Coast, with the exception of the MEX PBX show. But you know, I'm sure that some people will think like me that they could build a better mousetrap, and again, more power to them. That's what makes America great. You know, it's funny, not to make this at all political because it's really not. We all at some point in time realize the mistakes we've made financially. And if you ever read Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Comeback, there's a point in the book where he's married to Marla Maples or dating Marla Maples, and they're walking down the street, and there's a guy begging, and I think he said he was selling pencils or something, and it may have been a an acronym or an example. And Marla Maples turned to him and said, "Isn't that sad? Isn't that really, really sad?" And Donald Trump allegedly turned to her and said, "The difference between me and that guy is he's not in debt $100 million or whatever," because it was right at the time where the banks all called in his loans. And
Mhm.
he essentially said that homeless man was worth $100 million more than he was at the time. And the fact of the matter is, it all comes down to, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And
Right.
I think the worst thing in our business is the people that go, "You're not a real DJ." If you know, to me, there's no room for it. I've never understood the mentality. There's different levels of business owners, different levels of entertainers, different levels of humanity based on what your morals and values are. But one of the things that I think we get too caught up on is the newest DJ console, the newest
Yeah.
controller, the newest everything. So, you know, with a
Excuse
simple
me.
Excel file and just a little bit of math, I'm begging people. You hear people like Drax has been preaching for years about creating a business plan, and I think the biggest challenge is people think it's too complicated. And one of the lessons I learned very young, uh, I grew up on the northwest side of Chicago, and we had an area where there were all of these cute little like downtown areas for our little neighborhood. And every year they would have a sidewalk sale. So we got this idea that we are gonna do a lemonade stand. And I'm so glad that this happened. We took a big wooden crate out of my dad's machine shop that something came in. We turned it into a lemonade stand. We put a piece of wood on it, and then we put a piece of poster board up and made like an actual like lemonade stand. And back in those days, there were no inexpensive ways of printing. So we did stencils and we colored, the words lemonade and 10 cents and the whole thing. And my mom and the other gentleman that I was doing this with, they were kind enough to donate, however much lemonade mix and ice and water. And my mom, if you've met her, Mama Kay was great even
Mhm.
then. She ran back and forth from the house to 4 blocks away in the suburban and kept dropping off more coolers of lemonade because it happened to be a hot day. But at the end of the day, my mom turned around and said, "Okay, the first thing a lemonade mix was compliments of Mrs. Adams and myself. After that, you have to take the money that I had to go to the grocery store and buy more lemonade mix. You have to replace that. And it came off the top. So I learned very quickly the difference between gross and net at like 10 years old, which I was like, my big fistful of dollars all of a sudden went down to not nearly what it was. And I was like, this sucks. But that's how I and so many others learned, you know, it's not what you gross, it's what you net.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's it. And we've both had friends that have bought buildings and lost buildings and have had big fancy offices and been reduced to working out of your home. And I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. It's just whatever way works for you and is profitable and makes sense for you. So that's
And again, it's the way that makes you happy, Casey.
I
I mean,
agree.
if working out of your house makes you happy, then work out of your house.
And I'll
But
be honest
you
with
know,
you, I can't. I'm just COVID made me crazy. I went into the office every single
Casey,
day.
that was not COVID that made you crazy, dude. You were crazy long before
Oh
COVID.
yeah, I agree. But what made me certifiable was but it was also the same way I lived in a frat house when I was in college. I couldn't get anything done and I was an art major, so I used to have to go to the art building to do my projects. And I had my own room. I didn't even have a roommate, and I had to go to the library to study my gen ed courses. I don't know if I'm a an ADHD person or if I'm just easily distracted, as we all are. But living in a frat house with 20 other guys, it was very easy to get distracted when somebody knocked on your door and said, "You want to get a 12 pack and some pizza?" And you were like, "Yeah, I can put this
Yeah.
this homework off till tomorrow. I'll
And
get up early. I'll do whatever." And
yeah,
so,
my wife and I both feel exactly the same way. I mean, we could do a lot of the work that we do from home or from somewhere
right,
else, and we do a bit of that. But if we really want to be productive, now a lot of what I do is hands-on, so I definitely have to be there for that. But the behind the scenes stuff that I do, I could do somewhere else, and my wife could as well. But my wife, just like me, we both get up and go to the office every day.
yeah,
And the reason that we do that is because one of her stories is, she would be sitting at home working and then realize that the laundry needed done.
yep,
And so you break off and do the laundry. Well, if you're at the office, you can't do that. But some people don't have that problem.
right.
And Casey, we were talking about Drax a little bit earlier, and Drax has
Hmm.
been beating that drum on how to do the backwards business plan for years
Right,
to say, look, I need to make 68,000 gross. I need to make 70,000 gross and start there. Take that. How many events can you do? Start dividing and then see if you can make that number. Now, if it was me, I'd probably add about 30% to that number, 20 to 30%, because some things may not work out. And if it works out
right.
better, great.
Sure.
And to do that, you came up with this earlier, kind of talking about a spreadsheet. You have to have a budget. I mean, you
Right.
have to know how much it costs you to live, or you're just winging it. And I was doing that for a lot of my life, and I can tell you, at least for me, it doesn't work.
Well, it's,
Plans work.
you live on the East Coast. You can definitely head west and you'll eventually get to California, but having a plan laid out and knowing how much gas you're going to need and what your mileage is and how many hours it's going to take you is certainly going to get you there far more efficiently and far more effectively.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a matter of kind of how you want to get there. And so, there's no question that I believe that success is also the combination of where luck and hard work merge.
Mhm.
Because there's no question, but I also say the harder people work, the more lucky they seem to get.
The
You know,
luckier they get.
yeah, even right on down to the lottery ticket winners, they still put $1 into the machine, they got their ticket, and that was it. So they still did more than the person that didn't buy the lottery ticket. So again, you can say whatever you want to, but they still did the work. They still earned the dollar. They gambled it on the machine, and that was it. So
Well, and there's the ultimate irony there of so many lottery winners because they didn't have a plan going in.
right,
and they happen to hit it big in some way or another. And if they don't have a plan coming out, that money doesn't last very long
Oh yeah.
because it is finite. You have to track it. If you
Yeah.
don't tell your money where to go, you will wonder where it went.
Yeah. No question. All right, let's see. Brian McGann, I just bought my 13 and 11-year-old sons a Danny Max photo booth so they could start their own little business. They've booked at 7 events so far and they're loving it. That's awesome. That's fantastic. I'm sure they're adorable and they're little, probably Brian's got them all squared away with like little uniforms and the whole thing. So Tom Krychek's in the house from Chicago. Dave's in the house. Oh, my nice Polish Chicago brothers are in the house. I love it. Absolutely love it. Um, but no, and the thing is, a business plan doesn't have to be, too many people think about it like they're going on Shark Tank. And so a business plan doesn't necessarily have to have like a motto and a marketing this and a whole that. It's just a matter of working it backward. If you win,
Right.
if you have $1 today, what do you have to spend it on? Well, I got to put some of that toward my cell phone bill, and I got to make sure I've got gas, and I have to make sure that I at least have 29 cents for a box of macaroni and cheese. And it's the same thing, just bigger. And
Yeah.
then it also comes down to when you realize, especially if you start with nothing, like a lot of us did, um, the question is, what can you do for free? Social media is time. It's not necessarily free, but it doesn't physically cost you anything. Visiting banquet facilities and being humble and asking for help and offering to do things doesn't cost anything. And
Right.
yeah, 95% of them may slam the door in your face, but the 5% that don't, I mean, they're gold. I'm in bridal show season right now. Our company has done 8 wedding shows in the last 2 weeks, and I am floored. And I mean floored. I'm going to say 98% of the vendors there do not make it a point to walk the show to network with other vendors. And it boggles my mind because I can walk past Jamie's House of Travel and network with you and become, you're the go-to travel guy, and I can be your go-to DJ or photographer or whatever. And that one interaction that came, you could refer me 10 weddings a year, 10 parties a year,
Yeah.
what have you. And I'm just feel like people are leaving money on the table all the time. The 3 wedding businesses that I've purchased that were not DJ related, it's because of me having met these people at wedding shows and referring them and doing business with them for years and years and years. And then the opportunity came to buy them and we bought them and that was that. So,
Look, we're DJs, right?
mhm,
We're supposed to enjoy people because if you're a DJ and you don't enjoy people, it makes it a lot harder. It's not
sure.
impossible. But for most of us, we do enjoy people. And I think, that networking thing, if you stop thinking about it as networking and you start thinking about it as going out to say hi to somebody and make a friend and see what
100%.
you can do for them. I mean,
100%.
helping people is fun and it turns out it can make you money.
Sure. Mike Margraf just jumped on and said, visiting banqueters and offering help. What kind of help do you offer? Mike, whatever they need. Okay. It could just be a situation where you're just letting them know you're there. You've got AV equipment. God forbid they have a problem with a microphone. Something's wrong with their sound system. Maybe if they're having an open house and you want to dress the place up with some uplights and you offer to do it just because you want to be on their team. You know, there's a million ways that you can help people, and that doesn't mean always constantly donating free services or what have you. It's just a matter of building a relationship with the banquet facilities in your immediate backyard. And I think that's another big mistake that a lot of wedding vendors make is that they don't own their backyard. I take great pride in the fact that a large number of the banquet facilities within maybe a 10 square mile radius of my office refer us. And if they don't
Mhm.
refer us, they respect us, they know us, they have a different relationship with another vendor, and that's fine too. But when we walk in the door, it's hi, how are you, Casey? Great to see you. How's everything? How's the family? So Even yeah, Rob Nickpin just jumped on board. You know, we started because Rob used to, honestly, he would text me pictures of my van going down the street over and over again on 90, and it was always, he happened to work with, coincidentally, or see our floral company over and over and over again, which just kind of opened up the doors. And he came to some of our Chicago Disc Jockey Network meetings, and he and I just became friends, and we talk almost every day now. In fact, rather than hoard, there's a venue here in Chicago that is having an open house, and they were looking for vendors to help fill the space. So when I called on behalf of one of my companies, they said, "Yeah, we're looking to fill. We have another floor that we want to fill with vendors." I shot Rob a note saying, "Hey, these guys are looking, and why don't you call him?" And he managed to get in the door for a complimentary booth. It didn't cost him anything. And so rather than even hoarding it for myself, because he's technically a competitor, it's a matter of sharing the pie and going from there. And Rob's been great at referring me for things that he doesn't do or can't do or doesn't want to do. So again, it's, you got to look at bigger picture.
I think people miss that, and I see that so often throughout the wedding industry. People are so afraid to be nice and like their competitors.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I have the best competitors in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We bend over backwards to help each other. If something comes up and there's a problem, we get it fixed. We don't ask why, what, or how. We just get it fixed. And I worked on a job this year where I rented extra gear from 3 of my competitors and had another competitor of mine come and help me set up.
Sure.
Look, these guys are my friends. We do the same thing. We have the same interest. And my life is so much easier because of them. That's one thing that I want, I hope people can get a hold of is, man, don't hate your competitors.
Right. And here's the other part. No matter how good of a DJ you are, you're not that big of a deal. Okay. I don't care how many times you won the knot. I don't care how many, lists you're on. At the end of the day, you're doing the same thing we are. You're just doing it differently. Okay. It's
Right.
up to the client to decide whether you're doing it better or worse, or you're worth more money or worth less money or what have you. But the fact of the matter is, we're all doing the same thing. We're just doing it differently and perhaps at different levels. That's all. So it's I know that we all have ego because at the end of the night we're being patted on the back for having done a great job or worked really hard or what have you. But what we do is not rocket science. It really isn't. So, and that's
No,
where
and a scarcity
sometimes,
mindset is a scary thing
right. No,
to me in my heart. There's enough work out there for everybody. And if you're a little bit better than somebody else, then there's definitely enough out there of work for you, but there's just enough.
right.
There's enough work. Be
Well, and
nice and don't be
here's
scared.
what's crazy though. I believe there's money around us 24/7. And I mean 24/7. All right. Um, there are municipalities, there are movies in the park, there is AV work. If you want to work, it's everywhere. Okay.
Mhm.
There's bingo nights at what do you call it? At bars. There's cruise nights. I mean, you could work 7 days a week if you applied yourself and you hustled. That's the
Yeah.
one thing. Being self-employed to me is a license to print money. Now, yes, it also has a tremendous amount of headaches that come with it, and perhaps an ulcer or two, depending on how you manage things. But I just look at things as there is just absolutely money everywhere. I mean, everywhere. So, I mean, it boggles my mind how, I mean, I get anxiety because of the fact that I feel as though I don't have enough time to get it all done. And I always feel like sometimes I'm spending not enough time here, and last year, I'll admit it, our numbers were down. I spent too much time working in my business and not on my business.
Hmm.
And so, I've done a much better job of delegating things. I told my staff exactly what's up. And the crazy part is, my staff has told me, we don't want your help in the warehouse. You annoy the shit out of us. Okay. We don't need you telling us how to wash the van. We don't need this or that. We're going to make mistakes. You're going to yell at us. We get it. Okay. We're going to screw up. But the fact of the matter is, you are best suited being on the phone, posting on social media, driving marketing, answering calls, selling the shit out of us. We'll go out and we'll do the work. That's no problem. Just
Yeah.
you just stay in your lane and we'll stay in ours, and that's that. And I have to tell you, like, my crew, are they the greatest crew I've ever had talent wise? Maybe, maybe not. But I'll say this, like, they get it. They know what's going on. I mean, you met a bunch of them at Marquee. They spent 3 days busting their butts, making sure that everybody had what they needed from vendors or what have you. And on a personal level, they're unbelievably good to me and my partner Dina and even Mama Kay. So there's they don't go to lunch without asking me if I want something or whatever, and I'm super proud, and I love
Yeah.
all of them. So no question about it. So let's see. Um let's see. Oh, Eva's on here, who's another Chicago. It's all Chicago
Yeah.
today. Where's the rest of the country? I
I
swear to
love Eva.
God. Yeah. So her and her husband, I met them at Mex, and they took a chance coming to Marquee 2 years ago, and they fell in love with one of our presenters, Shannon Tarrant. And Shannon
Hmm.
Tarrant's a perfect example. She did a seminar on why you're not being referred and how to change it. And she point blank said, "You're being an idiot when you get into the venues. You're being stupid." And here's the things that venue coordinators hate about wedding vendors,
Right.
and that was it. And she told it, and I had so many people come up to me going, "Oh my God, this was the greatest, the absolute positive
Yeah.
greatest." Yeah, Stefan, we know you're the only one. We appreciate you. Vegas is in the house, and we appreciate it. I hope you'll come by. I'm going to be at the Mech show with a booth again this year, and I hope that you will come by and say hello if you're coming to the Mech show. Um, I know that Eva's come in the past. I don't know if she's coming. I don't know if you're coming to the Mech show. Make a comment here so that we know who we can look forward to seeing and such. I know that not everybody can get away, and that's why I also love my Chicago DJs that support Marquee. And quite honestly, you'd be foolish not to go to a show in your own backyard.
Yeah.
If you have to take a vacation day or two and that. And Jamie, I'm sure you'll concur. If you're going to commit to it, jump in the deep end. Okay.
Oh,
That doesn't mean you
absolutely.
have to stay at the hotel, but don't go to a show for 2 hours and only go to two seminars. Get there at 7:38 in the morning, have breakfast with other attendees. And you know how you do that? You go into the restaurant and you point blank say, "Do you have room at this table? Do you mind if
Mind
I
if I sit
join
down?
you?" And that's it. Okay. So
Well,
as long as you
that's
bathe
crazy.
that day, they'll probably say yes.
Casey, you talk about that, and when I go to a show, uh, I always stay at the host hotel. Why?
Absolutely.
Because I want to, well, two reasons. One, I know the show needs me to,
Yeah.
but the most important reason is I never know who I'm going to run into that's that I can help or that can help
Yeah.
me. And it's
Sure.
the same thing throughout the day. If you're not at the seminars, you're missing opportunities that you don't even know are there because
100%.
it's just this weird conversation that started and you don't even know how it started, but you just got the greatest idea from some guy that you were talking to in the hall that you just stopped because he was wearing a cool shirt or whatever.
And it
I
could
don't
be
miss those
a little
opportunities.
teeny tiny variation of what you're doing, just doing it slightly different. You know,
Right.
um, so I mean, I had the same situation talking with Brian Bonacisi once, and I shared how I personalized the father daughter dance, the first dance, whatever. And he actually said to me, he goes, "You should do a seminar just on that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, he goes, "We don't do anything like that at all." And again, it doesn't mean that it's better. It just means that it was different and it was new and exciting to him. So as a
Hmm.
result of that, he enjoyed it. And that was just a conversation that we had. The other thing, which I'm sure you'll concur on, is there are going to be a lot of terrible seminars that are just not going to, I shouldn't say they're going to be terrible. They're going to be terrible for you. They're
Right.
not going to be applicable. You're going to go in and sit down on a seminar about flux capacitors because you heard there's a lot of money to be made doing flux capacitor events. You're going to sit through it and you realize, ugh, this is just not for me. I'm going to tell you, sit in the back of the room and stay there
Yeah.
because somehow, in some way, shape, or form, they may hit on one thing that you can take that one little nugget, still not want to do anything with flux capacitors, but that one little nugget you can apply to your school marketing, your wedding marketing, your mitzvah marketing, whatever it is, and you won't even realize it. Okay.
Yeah.
What is common sense to one person is mind blowing to another. And that's just the way that it is. I mean, you said that you were busy doing work before, DJing probably every weekend before you went to your first DJ show. And then
Hmm.
afterwards, you realized you didn't know what you didn't know, you
Oh,
know?
afterwards, I realized, Casey, it was so embarrassing. I
Right.
realized how bad I was. I was, I was like, hold on, I've been doing this whole thing wrong. I changed so much after my first show. Uh,
Yeah.
it was just because that first show, I didn't, I and a lot of people that go on their first show, there's so much to learn
Oh,
because
yeah.
you haven't been exposed to much of this stuff yet.
And even as you get up there in the years of doing this, you'll find that you're not drinking from the fire hose quite as much as you used to. But what it's doing also is it's confirming your best practices. Okay. And I posted this on Facebook earlier today. I've been calling on wedding vendors now for 2 solid months to come into the shows. And I said, here are some of my top 3 things that you need to stop doing immediately. Number one is if you have super wedding professional at Yahoo, Gmail, Comcast, Hotmail, you may as well just scream to the world, I'm not willing to spend $19 a year or something like that on a vanity URL. And if you're hosting with GoDaddy, I even think you get one vanity URL with your hosting services. So it may not even cost you a nickel. Now, I have no problem with you using Gmail as your email provider. It's just the look automatically
Mhm.
changes. And before anyone goes, "Oh, I've been doing this 30 years and I've never had a problem." Well, guess what? Hilton, Hyatt, your local country club, your higher ended professionals, they're using vanity emails. You want to be in their level and you want to deal with their clientele. It's kind of like wearing a t-shirt to a wedding reception. Okay. It's
Yeah.
just not a good look.
You can
Number,
think that no one's judging you for things like that, but they are,
sure. And
no
you
doubt.
don't know what they're not going to tell you. It isn't until someone tells you. Number two is if I'm a big fan of having a dedicated business line. I realize if you're a part-time wedding professional or professional period, whether you're a carpenter or what have you, you use your cell phone, you write the whole thing off, whatever it is, that's fine. It's not for me, but I'm not saying it's a terrible thing. If your cell phone number doesn't say, "Hi, you've reached Jamie Bodie from Jamie's Incredible World of Crap," whatever it is,
Hmm.
they're going to, when it says, "Hi, you've reached 847-123-45678." And some people now, because they're tired of getting random voicemails, don't even set up their voicemail anymore.
Hmm.
Guess what? They're simply going to move on to another vendor and they're going to find somebody. Okay. And that's just the way that it is. So at a minimum, you've reached Jamie Bodie with Jamie Bodie's Wonderful Wedding World, whatever it is, and go from there. Okay.
What,
Your friends know
Casey,
what you do.
you know the best platform to talk to your clients on. It's the one they want to talk to you on. If you
Correct.
want to talk to me on Instagram, we'll talk on Instagram. If you want to talk to me on Facebook, we'll talk on Facebook. You want to text, you want phone calls, whatever that is, uh, that's the platform I'm going to use. This isn't
And that's
about
the
what I want
perfect
to do.
lead in. I posted it today. The third thing is You can't train your customers to talk to you the way that you want them to. I am astounded by the amount of people that don't have phone numbers or an email address on their websites. Okay. Now I get it. They're scared about their website being scraped and they're going to get telemarketed for merchant processing and they're going to get emails from India over all kinds of stuff. But guess what? Suck it up, buttercup. That's just part of being in business. Okay.
Hmm.
You're out there hustling to sell your services. The insurance guys want you to carry their liability insurance. Like it's just part of the deal. You can politely tell them no. And I'll tell you my rule of thumb, no matter what they're selling that I have no interest in, Jamie, I'm happy to announce my brother does exactly what you do. And I have to believe my brother's going to give me the best service and the best rate. So I wish you the best. But I'm going to tell you, why don't you take me off your list and get to somebody who's going to use your service? And
Sure.
automatically, that's it. And that's the best way of saying no without, hanging up or being rude or what have you. So no matter what it is, your Google listing, your insurance, your health plan, your merchant credit card processing, look at it this way. If you're not getting calls for credit card processing, you're really not that big of a deal. You're not even on their radar yet. So, as
Hmm.
good as you think you are, if they're not trying to peddle you something, you're really not that big of a deal. Okay. So,
Crazy story for you, Casey. It'll
yeah,
take
of
two
course.
seconds, I hope.
No, we got 10 minutes. So, you got to take all the time you want, brother.
I got mouthy with a telemarketer one time,
Yep.
and he had caught me at just the wrong time, and I was frustrated about something. And I wasn't, I was mean. I wasn't belligerent, but I was very terse to him, and he got me back so well. He called a realtor or went online to a realtor's office in all of San Diego and put in my information. So
Oh,
all the realtors in San Diego started calling me.
that's funny.
You can't help but respect that guy.
Yeah. No, that
And
that
that
is
was
pretty funny. It's like in our fraternity house, we used to fill out all of like the Depends undergarments, free sample things, and we would wind up all of a sudden one day, one of the guys in our house would be getting like 10 samples of Depends undergarments or erectile dysfunction things or what have you, and phone calls. And yeah, so we used to prank our own fraternity brothers the same way
sure.
back in the day. So. But hey, Bernie Howard's on. Hello, Bernie. Rob Nickpen, thanks for the kind words about some damn good advice. John Caldis is recommending a product called Call Centric. Is a good,
Mhm.
cost effective. He says cheap. I'll use cost effective voice over IP with the ability to forward to your cell phone. He points out you can use Gmail with a vanity, which again I said I have no
We do.
problem using that as your email provider, but from a vanity point of view, you're always going to look far more professional and far more reliable if you're using a vanity email, if your voicemail is such, and that's it. And so yeah, unless you're so large like banking now, where they're forcing you to use an ATM or an app, or unless you're so big that that you have to conform to how Amazon does business or what have you. The fact of the matter is, this is a small business owner, which is 85% of the country. You have to adapt to what your customers want to see you in. And again, I've been doing this longer than you've been doing it, I think, even. And the fact of the matter is, the days of placing advertising out there and waiting for people to call are over. You have to be your own mini marketing agency today, and you
Mhm.
have to post on Instagram, post on LinkedIn, post on Facebook. You know, you know, I just was at a seminar not too long ago where they were talking about blogging, and he point blank said, he goes, the reality is absolutely no one reads your blogs. He goes, you can hope they want to, and some people might read a blog or two, but the number one reason that you have to blog once or twice a week is so that Google identifies you as a trustworthy source And that's how they move you up the food chain organically. And I agree 100% with that. So I don't read a tremendous amount of blogs. I'm a big fan of short form video in the way of TikTok and Reels, and they do reel me in, for lack of a better term, because when it cuts off and I'm like, they didn't do it, and now all of a sudden I find myself now looking for the whole video and such. So
Hmm.
so there's no question about it. And as I can't think of his name now, the old CEO of Wedding Wire, Sonny Ganguly.
Starts, yeah,
Yeah,
starts with a G.
yep. Sonny said that the average American has the attention span of a goldfish. So again, and we're snobs. I have no problem saying it. If I don't find a phone number, unless there's a really strong reason for me to use you, I'm just going to go and search for one of your competitors. And that's it. So you
Yeah.
have to do business the way that the consumers want you to do business. So, all right, let's give some stuff away. Is everybody BPM Entertainment's in the house? How you doing, guys? So here's what I want you to do. We've got 25 comments. Can everybody that's still on here give us a quick like? A quick like, a heart on our Facebook page. And let's see. First thing we'll give away is a Marquee Show educational pass. So, Jamie, I'm going to say from 1 to 29, pick a number.
3.
Number 3. Let's see. Let's see if I know how to do this. So we're going, oh, maybe I can't do it. Oh, you know what? I got to switch profiles so that I'm not looking at it as me. So give me 1 second to switch to Marquee. And then I should be able to see all of the comments. And I will go down to the third comment made today. And that fine, lucky gentleman or lady will end up winning a pass to Marquee. 29 comments. I don't know why it's not letting me look at all of them for some reason. I don't know why. Well, I guess in this case, since you said 3, we'll go 3 from the top, which is Rob Nickpen. Congratulations. You are third from the top. BPM Entertainment was 1 and number 2. And then Rob Nickpen, you have won an educational pass to the 2025 Marquee Show. All right, let's go ahead and give away a year-long membership to the American DJ Association. We're going to go 1 to 8. Pick 1 to 8.
7.
7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jay Ruiz. Jay Ruiz, you are the 7th person that when I looked at the reactions, you had given us a thumbs up on here. So Jay Ruiz, shoot me a note and I will get you hooked up with Dr. Drax, and we'll get you a 1-year membership to the ADJA. And last but certainly not least, let's figure out another way to give out. This is for a digital download from our friends at Promo Only. And let's see, how can we do this? How about the person that has the most creative comment about tonight's show? Share anything on the Facebook page right now. And you and I will determine who has the most creative comment or something having to do with, I guess, the best tip that they picked up today or something they want to share, so that if somebody sees the comments, it'll entice them to want to tune in and rewatch this podcast. So go ahead and post real quick, guys. I'm going to refresh the screen.
So
And we're
while they're
going to
looking at
see.
that, Casey, let me
Yeah.
give you a little bit of time to look there. I just want to let everybody know that if you are going to make the MEX show this year, I spoke for KC this year. I'm also speaking at MEX. I'm on the last day of MEX. They've added an extra day of education, and there's Matt Radicelli, I think, is speaking that same day. I think
Jody
Jody
Harris is
Harris is
speaking that day.
speaking that day. Man, don't miss this. There's going to be good stuff that day. And I'd love to see if I can help you in any way. you can reach out to me, Jamie at jlkevents.com. Thank God I didn't have to say
At
Gmail.
Gmail, that would have been awkward, wouldn't it? That would have been really like, yeah, I
It's
totally
Jamie at
agree. Hey, here's my email. Like,
jlkevents.com.
here's
And,
my
you
Gmail.
know, just hit
Yeah.
me up. And if I can help you in any way financially, a couple books that I would recommend reading. Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey is a fantastic book. And there's a book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. That one isn't so much giving you things to do. It's just cool to look at what really happens with the psychology of money. So, check those out and come see us out in Vegas. Come say hello. Let me know you were here. I'd love to talk with you.
Yeah, very good. No, yeah, we've got a bunch of friends that are speaking. Howard Wallach is speaking this year there. Jeff Sandler is speaking. They're doing a seminar together on charity events. Stephanie Ribkin just actually chimed in earlier to um she actually called me. She was at the Pittsburgh DJ Summit. She's speaking on AI. I think that Chris Washburn is speaking on wordplay. So there's a ton of
Yeah,
stuff there. And then you stop at the #1 booth at the show. That's right. That's the Marquee Show booth with the most handsome man at the show. That would be me. All right. So, oh, and the other thing is, for those of you that don't know who Dave Ramsey is, make your life easy. Just go to TikTok and do a quick search for him. You're going to see him from his, I don't know if it's a podcast or radio broadcast or whatever it is. He's always got clips on there with a ton of success stories and advice that he's giving to people that are currently in debt or sharing success stories of people like Jamie
yeah,
that used his formula to get out of debt. So if you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, definitely check him out. Okay.
I was on his show.
There you go. All right. So here we go. John called this. I'm going to give this download to you because he said the channel is perfect for those with a short attention span and would love to watch a mini seminar. And I guess this kind of was a mini seminar. So that's that. So yeah, so John, shoot me a note. Chicago's favorite Greek DJ that's always working with Chicago's other favorite Greek DJ, Jimmy Vakos, excuse me. And that's that. So it's 9:01, which means that our producer John should be popping back in here any time for us to say goodbye. John, are you here?
I am here.
He is here. So once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. The Marquee Show. We just are in the process of signing the contract with our new hotel, which will be the Westin O'Hare Rosemont. So for those of you flying in, there's still complimentary shuttle bus service to and from the airport, which is great. Beautiful hotel. It's a little bit different than last year. We listened to a lot of people who didn't care for certain things about the hotel last year. And so we have a beautiful space. There's going to be more of a community area for people to hang out in and kind of shoot the shit. That's one of the things that people enjoyed about the Hyatts was that, Alan Berg and his crew were drinking bourbon until 2 o'clock in the morning, and others it was just there was lots of places for people to sit down and have conversations. Some people got up and left, some people came back, so we've got that. We will have a Starbucks that's open all the time, and there's lots of great stuff there. We're going to be right in Rosemont, so the entertainment district is right there, and we're arranging for complimentary shuttle bus service to take you to and from there, so you won't get killed with little Uber jaunts and things like that. So that's that. So thank you all for tuning in. Jamie, Bodie, thank you for coming on. Happy
Thank
New
you for
Year,
having
and I
me.
will see you next month at the MEX show. All right. So marqueeshow.com for all things Marquee, guys. Thank you. Good night and God bless.
Peace out.